Hey, real estate agents, you know what has hit the fan. Buyer commission is going away. Yep, we are going to have to negotiate our own fee with buyers. That's exactly what we're going to talk about today. How do you get paid? What do you need to know to get paid as a buyer agent? We're going to lay it all out here for you today. Thank you so much for being with me. I'm real estate coach Craig Proctor. I have made millions of dollars actually doing what I teach you to do. We've been teaching real estate agents for the last 8 years how to negotiate their fee directly with buyers versus just accepting whatever is being offered to the buyer agent on MLS. I wrote the book on this. You can get it on Amazon in 2015. The title of the book is called The Death of the Traditional Real Estate Agent. And we lay it all out here for you today, so you're going to know what's going to happen, how to prepare for this. But I want you to think about this. 49% of the real estate agents in the United States last year sold one house or zero houses. And that is in a world where a real estate agent could look a buyer in the eye and say, it costs you nothing to work with me. That's all changing, as you know, if you've been following the news. And if you're in Canada, don't think you're safe. It's coming to Canada as well in very short order. If you haven't checked in, please do that. Let me know the city and state, or if you're up in Canada, the city and province that you operate in. We get lots of referrals here in Craig Proctor Nation. I've got a big conference coming up on October 26th. If you guys want to come and hang out with me, it's you can let me know in the comments below. I'd like information on attending. Great big conference, September 26th. That's a Thursday, a full day with me. Today we're talking about what has changed and how do we need to respond to this. So as you know, forever in real estate, what has been the standard, the norm in the business is when you represent a buyer, you're getting paid through the seller on MLS. On MLS, there's a little box that says, here's your commission. Now, I never liked this because, when I list a house, I get to negotiate my own fee. If the seller won't pay me what I want, I can walk away, right? But that was never the case when you work with a buyer. You work with a buyer, you're running around showing the buyer houses, and the buyer says, oh, I want to buy that house right there. And you look down at the commission box and they're paying 2%. How many of you were frustrated by that? That you're working with a buyer, but somebody else is deciding what you're going to get paid. The seller or the listing agent's deciding what you're going to get paid. So I never liked that. So 8 years ago, this is what I'm teaching our coaching members. We're not going to do that. We're not going to accept whatever's being offered on MLS. We're going to negotiate our fee directly with the buyer. And it doesn't matter what state in the U.S. or where you are in Canada, you were allowed to do that. You were allowed to specify what you wanted to get paid in the buyer contract. Or you could leave that blank and you could just assume or accept whatever was being offered on MLS. So we started playing around with this 8 years ago. 3%, 4%. Guess what? My guys are getting this. They're getting 4%. Okay, if you really blow your mind here, we started also charging an upfront retainer fee. Okay, so to work with us, you got to sign a 6-month buyer agency agreement. Our commission is whatever you decide, 3%, 4%, and we're going to charge a $1,000 retainer fee, a $995 retainer fee. Now that $1,000 will be credited towards your commission if you buy. But let's face it, a lot of these buyers, they sign a buyer contract with us. We run them all over the place and they change their mind, or they just don't follow through. You sign the buyer contract and they never even look at any houses. Here's what we found. It's not what you guys think. You might think, well, this is about Craig trying to get $1,000. No, I mean, that helps. But the real thing that we found out is the buyers that are prepared to write your real estate company a check for $995, which, by the way, you can do this. You can get paid a flat rate. You can get paid a commission. You can get paid a combination of the two. But this is what we found. 80% of the buyers that would pay the retainer fee ended up buying and closing, and you got paid. Now, we flipped that around because not all the buyers that we would meet with would be willing to sign the retainer fee. And you might be saying, well, Craig, I don't want to lose the buyer over this. No, you're not going to lose the buyer. Here's what we're going to do. Let's pretend you're the buyer, and I say to get started with us, it's a 6-month commitment. We charge whatever you decide. Remember, they're negotiable, 3%, 4%. Honestly, I would go for 4%. And it's a $995 non-refundable retainer. Okay, that means that's credited towards your commission. So you're the buyer and you freak out. You're like, no, the other agents I've talked to, they won't charge a retainer fee. If I can't handle that objection, no damage will be done here, because this is what I would say to the buyer. Okay, look, I really like you, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer. I don't want $995 to get in the way in between you and I doing business. Why don't we just scratch out the retainer fee? You're good to go, right? Nothing ventured, nothing gained. You don't ask, you don't get. So worst case, some of your buyers will not agree to pay the retainer fee. But here's what I want you guys to do. I want you to follow up with the 50% of the buyers that will agree to the retainer fee, and you follow up with your numbers with the 50% of the buyers that will do it and the 50% of the buyers that will not sign the retainer fee. And here's what you're going to find. You're going to find a massive increase in the closed rate between those that signed the buyer agreement. Now, in my office, here's what we found. We found we had all kinds of buyers signed to a buyer agreement, but many of them wouldn't buy a house. Let me know in the comments if you agree with this. Now, if you don't have a lot of buyers, maybe this isn't an issue for you, but if you've got a large team and you've got dozens or hundreds of buyers that are signed to buyer contracts and they're not buying, what that does is it clogs up your system, right? You're trying to pay attention to all these buyers. Well, who are the best buyers? The buyers that agree to meet with you, give you an upfront retainer fee, agree to your fee, 3 or 4%, okay? And they're going to close and you're going to get paid. Now, how do we negotiate the 4%? So you're sitting down with the buyer now, and before it was easy, right? This is what we could say for 70 years. We could say to the buyer, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, I'm a great agent. I really care about you. I'm going to represent your best interest. I am going to get you pre-qualified for financing to help you get the best loan so you can negotiate, the best home for your dollar. I'm a great negotiator. Okay, I've been doing this for years. I'm going to help you find the perfect home. I'm going to do a search on the MLS. By the way, the buyers are like, yeah, but I can do my own search. The same information that you're talking about, I can get myself on the internet. Craig, you say you're a great negotiator, right? But hang on a minute. Now that I can go to Zillow and I can find out what agent has the house listed, maybe the buyer's thinking I could save more money by going around Craig Proctor and going directly to the listing agent, right? But it wasn't a problem because we could say we do this for you, pre-qualifying, negotiating, finding the home, we do all this stuff. And none of our services cost you a penny. Our services are free. Those are what we call the good old days, right? I do this for you and this for you and this, and none of my services cost you a penny. My services are free. We've been able to do this in organized real estate for over 70 years. That was easy. But despite that, we could say that's easy. Convincing a buyer to pay you nothing, that should be easy, right? Remember the stats. Last year, 49% of the real estate agents in the United States of America sold one home or zero homes in a world where they couldn't even convince the buyer to pay them nothing in exchange for the services. What are these realtors going to do starting August 17th? There is no buyer box. There is no buyer commission. By law, you have to, before you show the buyer one house, you can't even show them one house. Before you show the buyer even one house, you have to meet with the buyer, and you have to get a buyer agency agreement signed, and it has to be very clear in that contract how much the buyer is going to pay you in commission. How many real estate agents are going to be able to do that? No, gone are the days of, I'm going to show the buyer a bunch of houses and schmooze them and build up a relationship and go to lunch. Nope. Starting August 17th, the stroke of midnight on August 17th, the buyer commission box goes away. It's already gone away in many places, but it's gone everywhere across the country. It is required now that you meet with the buyer, get the buyer. You don't have to meet with them. If you can get the buyer agency agreement signed by, emailing them a DocuSign, that's fine too. But bottom line, you can't show a buyer a house without an agency agreement signed that specifically spells out what you're going to get paid. Now, again, if you're in Canada, you're like, well, that's not happening here yet. It's going to happen. The same lawsuits that are happening in the United States are happening in Canada. The Canadian agents sticking their head in the sand. Same thing is going to happen. It might be another 6 months or 2 years down the road. The bottom line is, none of you should wait until August 17th to learn how to negotiate your fee anyway. Remember, 8 years ago, I started teaching my coaching members, hey, you do not want to just accept whatever's being offered on MLS. Why would you let someone else set your fee? Why would you let the listing agent or the seller determine how much you're going to get paid when you're working with a buyer? I mean, how do you run a business when you don't know what you're going to get paid, right? That's the truth. You were working with a buyer and you did not know what you're going to get paid. You show the buyer, oh, this house, you buy that one, I get 3%. You buy this one here, I get 2.5%. You buy this one here, maybe they're only going to pay me 1%. And this is a good thing too, because a lot of the buyers, rightly so, were suspicious that real estate agents were steering them to the houses that paid the realtor the most amount of money. That's why a lot of buyers today are like, well, I don't want a real estate agent. I don't want to commit to an agent. I'm going to go find my homes on Realtor or Zillow. I need to find the house myself because I can't trust that the real estate agent is going to try to help me find the home that's best for me. They're thinking maybe the real estate agent's going to steer me. Maybe the real estate agent, maybe they're going to try to sell me just the homes they have listed or just the homes their company has listed, or they're going to show homes where they make more money, and they're not going to show me homes that don't pay the real estate agent as much. All that goes away. When we do it this way, right, with the new law, if you've negotiated 4%, you're getting 4%. Doesn't matter which house the buyer buys, you're being paid 4%. Okay, now let's talk reality. Can you imagine sitting down with the buyer for the very first time, instead of saying, I get you pre-qualified and I run around and I show you houses and I find you the houses, I'm a great negotiator and I help you all through closing, and all that is free. Now you got to say, it's 4% or it's 3%. How many of you are going to be strong enough to negotiate that? And how are we going to get the seller to still pay for this? Would you folks agree that if we could say to the buyer, okay, my fee is 3% or my fee is 4%, but I am going to try to get this seller to pay for that, would that be an easier conversation? Okay, so we have training on, well, how is this going to work? How do we get this? We're not allowed to, Craig, you said a minute ago, we're not allowed to have the seller pay the buyer. No, not on MLS. You're not allowed to use MLS to pay the cooperating broker. That is disallowed. But it can happen inside the transaction. This conversation can happen with the right language inside the offer of purchase and sale. And so we coach our agents up, well, how do I negotiate the fee with the buyer? And how do I still get the seller to pay for it? Now, if the seller won't pay for it inside the transaction, we teach you how to do this. If there is a shortfall, the buyer will be responsible for that shortfall. But there can be nothing outside of your buyer contract. There can be no compensation. So if your buyer contract's for 3%, that's all you're getting. You're getting 3%. If it's 4%, you're getting 4%. It can't be anything above or outside of that. How many of you are enjoying this? Smash the like button. If you want to talk to somebody that's created more millionaire agents than any other coach, trainer, or guru, that's me. Smash the like button, or maybe give me a little heart if you're enjoying this. How many of you would like to have some more help on how do I do this? How do I change my business, change my presentation, change the words that come out of my mouth? So number one, buyers and sellers are coming to me. That's a biggie, right? This whole conversation today has been about how am I going to get paid? Let's back up the bus and let's first talk about how do you get the clients in the first place? Many of you got that problem, right? It's like, Craig, yeah, this is just, more drama on top of my life already. Already I'm having a hard time getting clients. Now I got to sit down with the buyer and say, hey, before I show you a house, you got to pay me $40,000, right? You got to pay me $30,000. Imagine the first time buyer that says, wait a minute, I just saved up for 3 years. I saved up that $20,000 or $30,000. And now you, the real estate agent, are saying you want it? How many buyers cannot afford or will not pay a real estate agent because of the way these changes have been laid out? How many buyers now are going to go solo? Now that the buyers can go to Zillow or Realtor or Redfin or a gazillion other websites and they can find out which agent has the for sale sign on the property, how many of these buyers when faced with the fact, well, I got to pay an agent. I'd rather have my own agent. I'd rather have a buyer agent or agent representing me as a buyer. But if it means I gotta pay $20 or $30 or $40,000, I'll fly solo. I'll just call the real estate agent with the for sale sign on the front lawn. So it's another thing I want to talk about. Listing agents. This is very good news for us. We're going to make a lot more money. Okay. Normally, you get it 5% or 6% listing, and typically, we'd give away half to the buyer agent. That is disallowed. So if you list a property at 4%, 5%, 6%, 7%, you get to keep it all. There's an argument that says listing agents should get paid more now. Why? Because what I just said, a lot of the buyers, because of this new ruling, are going to go directly to the listing agent. So you're going to be doing both sides. So if you're doing more work as a listing agent, we could argue, well, you deserve to be further compensated. You're doing more work. You're working with the seller and you're working with the buyer. Now, to help you guys out, I have created a report. I'm going to give this to you today. Check this out. It's called The Future of Buyer Commissions. I have given out thousands of these over the last couple months. Maybe you've already got this. It's The Future of Buyer Commissions. We talk about how we got here, why the rules changed. The NAR didn't have the money. They lost the court case. You guys know it's like $500 million gazillion dollars. NAR doesn't have that money. They had to settle out of court. So all of these things that we have to live with are because of that settlement. NAR was going to go bankrupt, right? They had to settle out of court. So here's the settlement. Okay, commissions, they have to be disclosed. They have to be very clear. There's no more saying to the buyer. You are not allowed to say to a buyer, if you work with me, my services are free, unless they're really free. I mean, you can do that. They're not saying you can't work for free, but if you're charging the buyer a commission, it must be disclosed on day 0 before you show them a property. Now, there's one exception to this. The only exception is open houses. You can do an open house, and I've got big training on how to do mega open houses. I invented this 20 years ago. It's called a tour of homes, where you can borrow other agents' listings, and you can do these mega. This is why the open houses are going to be really good, because this ruling of having the buyer to sign a buyer contract before you show them a home, it doesn't apply to open houses. Open houses are exempt. So you can do your open house the way you normally do it. Buyers come in, the buyers look around the house, but here's the issue. You do the open house, one of two things are going to happen, right? The buyer's either going to love the house or they're not going to like the house. Well, if they love the house, guess what? You got to get the buyer contract signed right there on the spot. Or more likely, the buyer looks at your open house, says, oh, it's too big, too small, wrong location, or whatever. And you want to work with that buyer before you show that buyer another home outside of that open house. You must get that buyer contract signed, specifying what you get paid. Now, if you guys want this report, pages and pages and pages of like really, really good stuff, I will give this to you. If you want to type your email address into comments, I'll have someone on my team email you out everything you need to know about what we're talking about today. Why would I do that? Because I want to help you. I want to build trust and credibility. There are all kinds of pretenders and frauds out there telling you they're experts at how to make millions of dollars selling real estate. Many of these guys have never even had a real estate license. Okay, almost all of them have never sold 10,000 homes like Craig Proctor. Many of you know my story. I was the #1 RE/MAX agent, not in the country, in the world for commissions earned. And I started being the #1 RE/MAX agent within 3 years of having my license. Within 36 months of getting my real estate license, I became the #1 RE/MAX agent in the entire world. This is why I do coaching and training. I've taught over 30,000 agents how to make more money and have more time and have more freedom in their life. In fact, if you guys would like to book a call with me and my team, it's called a breakthrough call. If someone could type into the comments below, proctorconsult.com, Proctor Consult, no space. So consult is CONSULT.com. My name, Proctor, consult.com. That's a clickable link. You're going to go to my Acuity Daytimer, book yourself out a half an hour. oh, Craig's going to try to sell me something. No, I don't need to sell you anything. I'm good. Remember, go look at my very public and documented track record. I've sold over 10,000 homes and I've trained 30,000 agents. I'm good. This is about you. That's why this is all free. The special report here, this is free. The breakthrough call is free. Why would I do this? Because some of you are really going to like it. Some of you are going to see this Craig Proctor guy really cares about my business. He actually knows what he's talking about. And I would like to get some more help from Craig Proctor. That's why I do this. I'm paying it forward. How many of you have found this incredibly helpful today? Smash the like button, give me a little heart, and follow my content. Follow me. So whenever I go live, whenever I push out content, you get it right away. Okay. Now you guys should be doing this too. Part of what I teach you to do is I teach you how to provide great content for buyers and sellers. Now, while you guys are checking in, again, if you haven't checked in, let me know the city and state that you operate in, because I want to give you this information. If I don't know who you are, we can't follow you. We can't send you the information out. Let's go back to how am I going to get the buyer in the first place? Okay, because all the conversation today has been about, oh my God, when I meet a buyer, I can't say my services are free. Before I show the buyer a house, I got to get them signed to a buyer contract. I got to negotiate my fee before I show them even one house. Okay, that's true, but let's back up the bus a bit further. Why would buyers call you in the first place and choose to want to work with you? Why would a buyer choose to want to work with you and choose to pay you? Because they don't have to work with you and they don't have to pay you or any real estate agent, right? They can go to Zillow, see all the houses on MLS and start calling the listing agents and go unrepresented, right? Go directly to the listing agent. Here's what we're going to start doing, okay? You're going to start doing it. I've been doing this for years. What we're going to offer buyers is something they really, really want, but they can't get it anywhere else. How does that sound, guys? Let me know in the comments. If you really had something that buyers really, really wanted, and they couldn't get it on Google, they couldn't go to online, like they can go to Zillow and a realtor. I don't need a real estate agent. I'll go find my own house. Nope, that's why we're not offering houses that are on the internet. If your big offer to a buyer is, well, I can email you the houses that are on the internet, I can email you the houses that are on MLS, the buyers are like, what are you talking about? I can go find, I don't need a salesperson for that. I can go online, I can go to Zillow or Realtor or Redfin, I can find the houses. If that's all you got as a realtor is you're going to tell me about houses that I can find by myself, sorry, I don't need you. Oh, I'm a great negotiator. I've lived in this town for 17 years. They don't care about that, right? You better have something big that they really want that they can't get on their own. So I'm going to give you a couple of examples. What about if we could get the buyer access to homes that are about to come up for sale, but they're not listed yet? And I'm not talking about pocket listings. A pocket listing is, okay, they sign the MLS agreement and you hold it back and it's a secret. Only you and your maybe your brokerage knows about it. We're not talking about that. In fact, we're not even listing these properties. You can't hide a listing if you don't list it, right? Here's what we're going to do. You say to the buyer, hey, buyer, not only can I get you access to all the homes that are on the internet, not all the homes that are listed by all the agents on the MLS, sure, I can get you access to those. But some of the best deals never even make it to the open market. Some of the best properties are bank foreclosures, okay, unlisted and off-market properties, and this is where you're going to get the really good deals. Would you also like to get access to unlisted, off-market, distress sale, bank foreclosures, vacant homes, and company transfers? Would you like that? It's absolutely free of charge. Getting the information's free, right? Getting this information's free of charge, and you're never obligated to do anything. Would that interest you? Let's say this again together. Again, now you guys have questions, right? Well, how do I do this? So, Craig, like, obviously, that would be a great offer, you're saying to yourself. But how do I do this? How do I legally find my buyers off-market, unlisted, bank foreclosures, fixer-uppers, vacant? How do we do this? This is what we teach in our training. If you have this, let's just assume that I'm not full of crap and I know how to do this, okay? Would you guys agree that this would be a good offer. Don't worry right now about how to do it, because I'm not going to explain to you all the training on a free Facebook thing here today. This is what the breakthrough call is about. Book your breakthrough call at proctorconsult.com. We will ask you a couple questions. We'll explain how this works. Now, here's what I want you to do. I want you to try some Craig Proctor. Just try it. Like, a food you've never had before, and you go to a foreign country and they go, oh, would you like to try this? And you go, oh, no, I don't like that. And they go, you don't like it? Well, have you ever had it before? And you go, no. And they go, well, how do you know you don't like it if you've never tried it before? This is what I'm doing here today. I want you to try Craig Proctor. I want you to try some of these strategies, and they work. And this is how we're going to have a relationship, because everything I show you actually works. So the buyer is going to respond to these ads. You imagine you're running an ad or you're talking to a buyer, the words that come out of your mouth, and instead of saying, would you like access to the homes on MLS? Would you want me to email you the daily up? You don't do that anymore. That's what everyone else does. You sound like every other agent, plus the buyers know they don't need an agent for that. You say, would you also like to get access to unlisted and off-market homes, to bank foreclosures, distressed sales, vacant properties, and homes that have dramatically been reduced? See, I just changed it there. But what I'm saying sounds better than what you're saying. How many of you agree? Give me that in the comments. What I just said, my buyer offer, my offer to buyers, the words that come out of my mouth, what I just said is better than what you're saying. And it's so good, guess what the buyers want to do? The buyers want to meet with me. Well, how does that work? Well, here's how it works. I say to the buyer, tell me what neighborhood you're interested in. And they tell me, I'm interested in Glenway Estates. Great. What I'm going to do for you, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, is if you work with me, that means signing a buyer agency agreement and agreeing to pay me 3 or 4% or whatever you want, I am going to market to all the homeowners in Glenway Estates. And I am going to find a homeowner that has not yet listed their home for sale. And you're going to be the only buyer that's going to know about it. I'm also going to get you access to bank foreclosure and pre-foreclosure properties. I'm also going to get you access to people that are going to be transferred. Their home is not on the market yet. You're going to have access, proprietary access, to homes that are not listed. This is not a pocket listing. Hear me on this. These homes are not listed. Here's how it works. I find homes that match my buyer's criteria. I go visit the homeowners. If it looks like a good match, then and only then do I bring my buyer through. Okay? The seller signs a commission agreement. That just means if my buyer buys it, I get paid, but it is not an MLS listing. It's not illegal. We're not breaking any rules. I have to mention this because some of you immediately go to, when you hear something different, you immediately go down the road of, well, what's wrong with this idea? What Craig's suggesting must be breaking some rules. These are called paradigms, okay? Our paradigm is all our habits, all the crap they taught us, everything you learned in real estate school. You got into real estate, you looked around at what all the other agents do. You believed that I should behave like these guys. I should offer the same as them. My marketing should look like them. That's called normal. But I'm going to tell you this. The agents that I work with that make $4, $5, $10 million in gross commission income, yep, I got lots of those guys. They make over $1 million in GCI a month. Not volume, commission, over $1 million a month. Now, yeah, they have a team. Oh, well, that's because they have a team. Well, why don't you have a team? Let's say you make $10 million a year and you're on a 50-50 split with your agents. Okay, well, the agents do the work and you make $5 million, right? 50-50, 10 million in, 5 million goes to your team, 5 million. How many of you would be good with that? How many homes could you sell if it had nothing to do with you? See, these are all foreign thoughts, right? Paradigms. So we get into real estate and all this stuff that we drag with us, all the stuff, everything that happened to you when you were a kid, all the stuff that happened when you were in school, all your parents, your friends, all your experiences, all the garbage they teach us when we get into real estate, all the bad training, we think a certain way. And that thinking, I promise you, is limiting your income. You're limited. You got the blinders on, like the horses, you got the blinders on because you're thinking about real estate the same way that everyone else in the industry is thinking. Okay, what I teach you to do is to push back on industry norms and standards. The wealthiest real estate agents, those guys that are really rich in real estate, they're my clients, and we're not doing it the same old way. Think about this. 8 years ago, my agents stopped getting paid with the little box on MLS. They stopped accepting, well, I guess when my buyer picks out the house, that's when I'm going to find out what I get paid. Nope. 8 years ago, we started negotiating our fee with buyers directly, and we showed them how we can get the seller to pay for it. So none of this is new in Craig Proctor world. You guys are in good hands. Now, book yourself a consultation, okay? Again, it's Proctor Consult. So Procto, Proctor Consult, consult.com, all one word. That's a clickable link. You're going to go to my QD day timer. Take a half hour of your life and check this out. What's the downside? This is good, right? You like this. You're still here. How long have we been at this thing for? You're still at this, and we've been at this for like a half an hour. So by virtue of the fact you're still watching me, that means you're pretty interested in this. If you value getting advice from someone that's made millions and millions of dollars personally in their career like me, and somebody that's really good at teaching you how to do it, then I'm your guy. So you're going to go to proctorconsult.com. At a minimum, I want you to order the free report on the future of buyer commissions. Okay, this is absolutely free. You drop your email address in. I'm not going to spam you or anything. I don't need to call anybody. This is about getting people calling you. So we're going to teach you how to get buyers and sellers to contact you by offering the buyers and sellers something they really, really want. And then what's the conversation I have? How do I get them signed to a contract? What are the best practices to be super successful in real estate? Now, I got one more thing for you. I have a private Facebook group. Right now, we're on my business page, and this will be on YouTube, and they'll repurpose this. This will be on LinkedIn. This will be everywhere. Thousands of people will watch this presentation. And by the way, I want to show you how to do a presentation like this so thousands of your prospects, your buyers and sellers, know who you are and what you do and what makes you different and better. You can't get them on the telephone, right? You know that. So how are they going to know what you do or how you're different and better? This is how we're going to do it. We're going to use video. I have a script. You're going to read it, and we're going to talk about the services you provide, what makes you different, what makes you better, why a buyer or seller should choose to do business with you versus anybody else. And then we're going to send that video out to all the prospects, and guess what? They already know who you are. Some of you right now kind of feel like you know me. It's crazy, right? How many of you, let me know in comments, this is the first time you've ever watched me. It's the first time you've ever watched me, but it's kind of weird how this works because it's like, okay, I've never met Craig personally, but I kind of get a feel for him. This is what I want to show you to do with your prospects right now. If you've watched this, Facebook has already pixeled you. So just in case you don't know, now that you've watched me once, you're going to start seeing me everywhere. Some of you have watched me a couple months ago, and you're like, he's right. I see Craig everywhere. Whether I want to or I don't, I see Craig in my newsfeed. I see him all over the place. Let me show you how to market your services so people know who you are, you build trust, you build credibility, and you're making an amazing offer so they do the thing that you want. The best ones call you. That's right. Are all of them going to call you? Nope. The people that don't like you, the people that aren't buying or selling, they're not going to call you. We're good with that. You're going to have enough buyers and sellers coming to you, and then I'm going to coach you up on here's how we're going to handle them. This is what you're going to say when you talk to them. This is how we're going to present the buyer contract. This is how we're going to find them the right house. And this is how you're going to get paid very handsomely for your time as a real estate agent. So if you want to join my private group, please type into the comment section below, private group. Private group. And I will get you an invitation. We have about 8,000 top real estate agents from all over North America inside that private group. Why would I want you to be part of the private group? So you can rub shoulders and start hanging out with Craig Proctor members that are making millions of dollars a year. Remember when you were little, your parents probably said, my parents said, well, Craig, if you hang around with good people, good things will happen. And if you hang around with bad people, bad things will happen. There's probably a lot of truth to that, right? So who you hang out with makes a difference, right? I want you to start hanging out with real estate agents that are winning at this business right now. whatever issue, whatever problem you've got, they've had those issues. They've had those problems in the past. So private group will get you into that. Order the free report by typing in, I want the free report, okay, or your email address. Okay, I can't send it with free report. Type in your email address, I'll send you the free report. Most importantly, book your free $0, no commitment, no cost, obligation, breakthrough call. Go to proctorconsult.com. If you guys enjoyed it, smash the like button, share it with any other realtors you think would benefit from this, and make sure you're following me. Thank you so much for being here today. I hope you enjoyed it. This is Real Estate Coach Craig Proctor. We'll see you all again next time. Take care. Thanks for watching. Hi, this is Craig Proctor. Hey, I really hope you enjoyed that video. And listen, I've got a lot more information for you to help you grow your real estate business. You see, several times a week, I record new videos and I load them onto this YouTube channel. What I'd like you to do, if you'd like to access them, are two important things, and both are totally free. Number one is I'd like you to subscribe to this channel. You're going to see a little subscribe button for you to click on. And if you don't already have an account with YouTube, it's free for you to set it up. It's really easy, it's free, but you've got to subscribe to this channel. And the most important thing is to ring the little bell right next to the subscribe button. And that's going to let you know every time I load new money-making videos to help you grow your real estate business. So make sure you subscribe right now, you ring the little bell, and we'll see you on the next video.